Hello and welcome to episode number 73 of the Hobbies and Happiness podcast, where we talk about the hobby that makes us happy, tabletop gaming. I'm one of your hosts, Dan.
And I'm Jim, and today we're going to find out, are card games esports or sports?
I guess both of them technically apply in this case, right? So, all right, well, before we get into it, we need to talk about our sponsor, Amazon Audible. That's right. If you head over to our affiliate link, www.audibletrial.com/hobbies and happiness, you can sign up for your free 30-day trial of Amazon's Audible service. If you like to read books, or better yet, listen to books, head over to our affiliate link, sign up for Amazon's audiobook service, Audible, get your free 30-day trial, and what you get when you sign up, you get a free audiobook. That's right. When you sign up, you get a free credit added to your account for a free audiobook of your choice that's on the store, and you get to keep that audiobook forever. What's better yet, if you have Amazon Prime, if you're an Amazon Prime member, you get two free credits added to your account. What's better than one? More than one. Or in this case, two. You get two of those free books added to your account. So again, check in the description below, head over to the show notes, find that link, www.audibletrial.com/hobbies and happiness. Sign up for your free 30-day trial of Amazon's Audible today. All right. So this has been on the list. This has kind of been on the list for a while, and we're finally just going to try. We're just going to dive in.
We're going to give it a shot.
We're going to dive in because esports has become extremely prevalent over the past, decade or so.
10 years, yeah.
And like with the rise of technology, okay, has come the rise of esports. Okay. So again, let's start. Let's start at the baseline, right? Let's define our terms. Okay. Well, what's a sport? So Jim, if I asked you, how would you define a sport? What is a sport?
Oh man, come on, man, you're throwing me under the bus here, Dan.
Well, no. What would you say? Like, how would you define a sport?
Okay, all right.
Because I mean, there
something along the lines of a physical activity, maybe some form of physical exertion towards something, but then I don't know like what else I'd throw into it.
Well, the reason I'm kind of asking, right, is, to be honest, I think that the definition would change depending upon the age of the person you're asking. Like if you were to ask older folks to define a sport, they would probably suggest something that has to do with physical exertion. Okay, but if you were to ask the younger crowd, they may not mention anything about physical exertion. Okay, now
it's because they don't know what a sport is. Come on, dude.
Well, but again, like I think that would point to, like, I think in general you have the younger crowd who they would equate esports to all sports, right? So so the definition I have in front of me, an activity involving physical exertion and skill in which an individual or team competes against another or others for entertainment. Okay, so that's the dictionary definition. This is the Oxford definition of sport. Okay. So there's two things. Big thing is physical exertion, and skill, which an individual or team compete against other people, essentially.
Video games definitely fall into sports. People get carpal tunnel, dude.
Okay. Well, all right. So then, like, Then I think the next thing is how are you going to measure physical exertion? Like what's defined technically as physical exertion, right? Because I mean, like, you play video games, you will be exerted. Maybe not physically, but definitely mentally. Okay, you could be exerted mentally, and your thumbs could be sore, hands could be sore. Like you said, carpal tunnel actually like
happens a lot.
Legitimately is a thing. Okay, even the music industry. Okay, when I grew up, I played in like my school band with a lot of the woodwind instruments. Carpal tunnel was a big thing. Okay, I knew a few people who had developed carpal tunnel from their playing, So carpal tunnel is actually a pretty serious thing to watch out for. So I know there's a lot of times when people kind of jest and joke about carpal tunnel, right? But it is a thing, and it really it can be very detrimental to someone's health, unfortunately. So
especially if it affects their skill inside any of these games.
Correct.
It's definitely a physical handicap to yourself if it starts to affect you.
Right. So okay. So I think in general, like you can look at someone who's playing basketball or football or hockey, right, in a completely different way from someone who sits down and plays a video game or board game or card game, right? And again, let's say they're all playing in like some sort of playoff or tournament, right? They're competing against either another person or another team. So they're both participating in some type of sport because they're competing. They're competing against other people, okay?
Yep.
But are they the same? Like, are they the same from like a definitional level? Though
they're definitely not the same thing.
Correct. Now hang on. What would you say, like, if those individuals and teams playing hockey, football, basketball, those would be roughly considered in the same category?
For those
sports.
3 or 4 or whatever.
Yeah.
I would put those more towards that.
What about golf?
Golf, you can mess your back up.
Well, yeah, right. I'm just saying, like, golf is
what about the people that don't have
different.
Yeah, what about the people who don't have golf carts? They got to walk to that next place, man.
Dude, I will never golf 18 holes without a cart. 9, all right, maybe I'll do 9.
Yeah,
I'll do 9 without a cart, but I ain't definitely not doing 18 holes without a cart.
I think golf is one of the more skill intense sports.
Correct.
Because if it doesn't matter how far you might be able to hit that ball, if you can't hit that ball,
right? Yes,
you're hitting a ball with a stick.
Yes,
and it's not easy. I've tried it. I've missed like 50 swings in a row. No one really taught me how to do it, and I'm terrible.
When's the last time you did any sort of golfing?
Golf? I've only done golfing once. We went to a driving range. Does mini golf count?
I mean, kind of.
All right, cool. Then it wasn't that long ago. Probably like last year, 2 years ago.
Okay, all right.
But before then, it was probably high school, and that was the only time I ever gave it a shot.
Oh, in high school?
Yeah, and I missed all 50 of those shots. Yeah.
Well, I mean, wait, what do you mean miss? Like miss the ball?
Yeah, I missed the ball.
Wow, that's
yeah, I'm not good. So then I just like picked it up and launched it.
Now is that the one where you were now, did you do the Happy Gilmore swing? Is that why
I did try it, and then I tried to do it the normal way. I still couldn't do it.
You still couldn't do it? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay. So real quick, episode 49, we did talk about competitive versus casual games, right? So that episode, like, we kind of dove into definitions as far as like competitive, like what competition is. Right. So this definitely falls in the same line, right? As, sports, right? What are sports, right? I think, again, I think, socially speaking, and on a community standpoint, I think we all know definitionally what a sport is, right? We watch sports on the TV every day, right? Bears played today. I don't know if they won or lost. Do you know if the Bears won today?
I don't know.
They played the Falcons today.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
I know they were winning, and then
I'll give you a 50-50 shot to pick. Dan.
They probably
lost.
Win or
lose?
They probably lost, to be honest with you, right? But I think sports are like one of those things, like, when you see it, right? So then it comes down to the rise of esports, right? And then our esports sports, and then our card games sports. Okay, so I think on a term definition basis, we know what sports are. Okay, we all know what sports are. Okay, so now let's move past that. Let's esports. Okay, what makes an esport an esport? Okay. I think so. If you were to ask me, okay, my definition would be a video game that's played on a competitive level. Would you agree with that, or would you have anything anything? Would there be anything you would think you'd add to that?
Yeah, I would say that pretty much sums it up.
Because that would encompass like any video game.
Yeah.
Now, according to Oxford, an esport is a multiplayer video game played competitively for spectators, typically by professional gamers. Okay.
Ooh, the multiplayer part.
So they say esport is multiplayer. If you were you ask me, you could do any game, whether that be solo.
Yeah.
Or multiplayer.
There's a lot of the speed running stuff where it's a single player game, most likely, but they're competing against all these other people to be like, all right, who now has the fastest time of running through it?
Is that so? Would that be if someone's doing that? Most likely they're just sitting down by themselves, right? And I've seen a lot of those. There's a I don't know if it's a channel, if it's an organization, but Games Done Quick. I think is a channel, or organization where that's like all about kind of speed running.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like the question then would be, is what they're doing, is that sports? Would that be considered sports?
Ooh.
I mean, it's a competition. Like it's a competition, right?
When I think like it's definitely skill intense.
Oh,
because
yes.
when you start listening to these people talk about how it's like you have to be pixel perfect when putting in some of these inputs on the controller or whatever it is to be able to kind of get that half second off in comparison to someone else, or even a millisecond off from someone else. And some of these speed runs, you have to do things in certain ways in order to even bypass parts of the map you wouldn't normally be able to bypass. And again, it's pixel perfect, frame perfect measurement, and if you don't get it perfectly, you have to now restart. But now the thing with this is, if it's like 10-hour speed runs, you now have to do all of this perfect again.
Yeah.
And not to mention, if we're talking about you're doing something for 10 hours and you can't like leave the speed run competition, that is a lot of physical work.
That's a mental.
That's a huge mental endurance.
A big mental workout.
And there's even some speed runs where people have to be up for 24 hours in order to do. It's kind of ridiculous. So I do like how they kind of put the multiplayer part in there to kind of go along with how sports are already being played. You know, I mean, I guess like tennis is is solo, but then there's also duos.
And same with golf. Golf's another one where that's solo as well.
So I kind of see why they put in multiplayer, but I could also see like, all right, take out multiplayer.
Yeah. I think so. Let's look. Let's see. Like, what does Wikipedia? What does Wikipedia say? The first paragraph here: esports, short for electronic sports, is a form of competition using video games. Esports often takes the form of organized multiplayer video game competitions, particularly between professional players individually or as teams. Although organized competitions have long been a part of video game culture, these were largely between amateurs until the late 2000s, when participation by professional gamers and spectatorship in these events through live streaming saw a large surge in popularity. So, I mean, you've got the early 2000s, and then once you hit the 2010s, is when it really started to take off. But I mean, like as an industry, like you see the most eyeballs in these multiplayer games. Okay. Like League of Legends. League of Legends is absolutely huge. Okay. League of Legends, Dota, but like League of Legends is just
League of Legends took off more.
Absolutely, and I think that's partly because of Riot. Like that is Riot. Correct. Riot was just. Riot was a huge reason for that takeoff of League of Legends, of League, right? But I mean, growing up, StarCraft was huge, and I think competitively, like that's still a very big game competitively. I believe
in terms of competitiveness, that tends to not be multiplayer. It's just like one-on-one combat.
That's right. That's right. You're correct. Yep.
Which like. again, going off of that definition that they gave us of the multiplayer, it doesn't add to it. And not to mention in like fighting games, that tends to always be
that's
one-on-one.
always one-on-one. That's
yeah,
always
Mortal
one-on-one.
Kombat stuff, Dragon Ball Super,
That's
Melee.
why when we're talking about esports, I don't like using multiplayer. Like I don't like just saying, well, the multiplayers, those ones are considered esports. All these other ones, they're not. Because let's talk about fighting games, right? There's that one big tournament,
EVO.
Oh, dude. I mean, I used to be big into fighting games. Like I used to play a lot of Injustice and Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Okay. And like I was big into like trying to get good, okay? Because like I'd play those games online. And if you wanted to play online, you had to be good. Like you had to be decent or else you would just get destroyed every time, right? Yeah. So I would practice and I would work at trying to get, I'd pick my characters and then just try and get good, okay? Yeah. And so through that, you know, I'd watch a lot of the EVO. I'd follow the EVO tournaments, right, and watch the footage, okay? And just the EVO tournaments are always just so big. They're so much fun.
You know what I think is a kind of funny thing? You know, like when people watch these high-end players and they kind of try to copy it is that they do, tell me how that's not net decking.
Wait. Okay, say that again. Say that again.
All right, so you know how you have these professionals in these fighting games, right? Or even League of Legends, right?
Okay.
And people are copying not just builds if it's for League of Legends, but they copy like moves that they can do and pay attention to certain combos and like where they can line things up, right? And we've talked about net decking of people copying other people's decks online for all these other card games. I kind of see that being like the same thing.
I don't, and here's why. I think I see where you're coming from, but with fighting games in particular, that's another one of those that is a very extremely reactive. You're either playing it proactively or reactively, and if you're playing reactively, like that is a very like the hitboxes, and being extremely on point with the with your timings and everything, right? But if you have like everyone knows each character's moveset, right? So from let's
definitely not new players.
Well, right, but if you're a new player, you're not.
But we also tell new players to go
to net deck, right?
And it's like kind of what you're going off of the thing. It's that really minute stuff, and it's definitely comes down to the player more than just the character. Right. But it's kind how I also see it being the same thing is you may play the same deck as someone, but you're not going to pilot it the same way that someone else can do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why I'm kind of like, sure, there are these huge differences.
Yeah, right.
But it's kind of using those people
I see
as a
the
mentor.
Similarity.
And,
I see the similarity. I see and understand the similarity.
I know it's not the same thing.
No, right.
But I see it.
But
being the same thing.
right. No. I got you. Yeah. So, okay. So I think any video game that's played competitively is an esport. Okay. I don't think it necessarily has to be multiplayer. However, there are though big differences between anything played on a team level or an individual level.
It's villainous in the esport.
I'm not gonna answer that one. It is if they're playing it on Tabletop Simulator.
Oh, right, true.
Oh, okay. All right. We're done. We're done. Okay. So, but going back to like multiplayer, or excuse me, teams versus individuals, those are just completely different. I was gonna say circumstances, right? But like when you're doing something in a team, you are operating totally differently than you would if you were on a 1v1 basis, right? Yeah. And I think from a spectator sport side, like a spectating side, watching teams compete is much more that's much more fun than watching individuals compete, right? Yeah. Especially from an esports side, right? Because with these teams going at it, I mean, these guys, these people playing these games can get so cutthroat and like I don't know if you've seen any of these like not documentaries, but like these reality shows of like following these esports teams. And to me, it's so funny because like a lot of them are children, are kids. Like I think of them as kids. I don't remember where I saw this, but it was some show.
Okay.
And it was like some League of Legends team, and like. If you don't know anything about League of Legends, like they're throwing around all these terms about like, top, mid,
ADC,
low.
mid,
well, yeah,
AP
right.
carries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so for the uninitiated, you're like, what are they talking about? But it's all these, for lack of a better term, all these nerds like yelling at each other and being so angry. And it's just like, what is going on? Right. But I thought it was very interesting and very funny because again, like I see myself, like I put myself in that situation, right? Yeah. So it's just very interesting. And then you go and you watch a football game, right? It's like
all these nerds screaming about stats and numbers and
right. So it's just it's interesting and funny to me, right? At the same time. However, I think like. Socially and on a social level, I mean, esports are going nowhere. Mm-hmm. I think esports are here to stay. And like I remember there being an active conversation of like whether or not esports are a good thing or not. It was weird. I'm like, who cares, guys? Like, who cares?
I don't see it being a bad thing.
Right. I think it's one of those things where it's neither good nor bad.
Yeah.
But I actually saw it as a good thing because again, it's just the advancements in technology. Yeah. Okay. And these more opportunities for people like myself. Mm-hmm. Okay. Because growing up, right. If you wanted to play sports, it was just the standard, right, sport, the physical sports, right? Yeah. There weren't many activities for me as a nerd, right, to take on. Now, granted, I did play a lot of sports growing up, and I had a good time, right? Mm-hmm. But I had a lot of friends who were into, Pokemon, Gundam, all the pop culture, right? Mm-hmm. All the nerd stuff. And again, like that's what it was called back then, right? Growing up for me, that was, oh, you're just a nerd. It's like, no, but this stuff is cool. Like, it's really cool, guys. Come on. Like, if you don't see it, I don't know what to do. Like, I can't help you, right? Yeah. Like, it's cool.
Yeah. So, anyone who says I was into Pokemon before it was cool, it was always cool. Okay?
He's not
It was
wrong.
always cool.
Exactly. Right.
I was there from the beginning. Right. Okay?
Right. So, like, that's why I see it as a good game, as a good thing. Like, now we're talking about, like, people going to college on esports scholarships.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane.
Yep.
And how is that not a good thing? Like, that is such a good thing. Like, you're going to somebody's paying you to go to college. Like, and to be honest, as long as you go and get an education, that's a great thing. Like, that is such a good thing. Just giving more people the opportunity to go to college and get an education, such a good thing. Such a great thing, right?
Yeah. College is a scam.
It depends, but it can be.
Guys, I'm just me, man. I'm kind of.
Well, yeah.
We'll talk later.
Yeah.
Next podcast.
Why college is
We're going to get Gary Vee on here, Dan. We're going to talk with Gary Vee.
But honestly, though, like his opinion has changed over the years a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think he went from like hardcore the whole college is a scam.
Yeah.
Thing. I don't know. Did he ever really truly hold that position?
I think he pretty much has always said that, but it really comes down to the person.
Correct.
And that's what he talked about. It comes down to the person.
It always should come down to an individual level of what you want to do. Yeah. And like, if you want to be a doctor, you need to go to college.
Yeah. He's like, if school just is not for you, don't go.
Right.
Waste all the money.
Don't go to college just for the sake of going to college and getting a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Right. Just you don't need to do that. Yeah. Right. We live in a society now to where if you want to get ahead, if you want to make a life for yourself, you don't have to go to college to do that. Right.
Yeah.
But
how do we get here?
I don't really know. Okay. You know what's another great esport is watching people play Super Smash Brothers.
Oh, dude, I was
watching those tournaments.
I was just watching that the other day.
man.
There was a big tournament, and why can't I remember his name? Hungry Box, I think, won a really big tournament. He's a Jigglypuff main,
Okay.
and he's a really really cool guy. But I can't remember the guy from I think it's CLG or not CLG, Cloud9 or oh my goodness, I can't remember his name. He's got a beard. I can't.
Okay.
All right, let's continue.
Right, yeah. Well,
Super Smash Bros. Great
yes.
stuff to watch.
Yeah. But another, like, there's the Overwatch League.
Yeah.
Right.
Is there an Overwatch League?
Is there?
I thought they got rid of it.
Did they?
I thought so.
Because I mean, Overwatch was another
no.
game. Overwatch is another game that like is a very competitive esport essentially.
Yeah.
Same with like Valorant too is just another one. I mean,
Fortnite's big.
Fortnite's huge. Fortnite's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Needless to say, there's a ton of games. Like literally any video game, you could turn it into an esport.
Yeah.
Even single player ones.
Yeah.
You could, if you're creative enough, you can find a way to turn that into an esport. Okay. Now the question then becomes is whether or not it's going to be popular and if people are going to watch, essentially, right?
Yeah.
So okay.
This name's killing me, Dan.
What? Oh, the one.
Figure out the name so badly.
It will come to you.
He's one of the OGs. He's one of the OGs. He's been there for a long time.
See, I've never really watched Super Smash Bros.
I recently got into it because when Ultimate came out, I wanted to learn how to finally play the game and get good at it.
Yeah.
I learned how to play it. I'm not good at it,
Yeah.
but I understand it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just can't remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the OGs, one of the tops.
All right. So now we turn the conversation to the card game side.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I think for the longest time, Magic has been the OG when it comes to competitive card game play.
Yeah.
Okay. With the Pro Tour. I heard recently that Wizards of the Coast at Magic might have been like one of the oldest card games that like ever hold or have a Pro Tour. Or the only one I think was what I heard was that it was the only card game to have a Pro Tour. I don't quote me on that. I believe that's what I heard. At least a Pro Tour.
Okay, all right. Well, then, yeah, probably. But I mean, other card games have world championships,
Right? Correct.
So,
and now with Flesh and Blood, I believe they are having their own Pro Tour as well.
I guess whatever they decide to call it, right?
Well, right.
It's like here in Hobbies and Happiness, we're the only ones that have this because we gave it some really crazy name that no one's ever going to use.
Yeah. Right. Don't you hate when people do that?
Yeah.
When companies do that, like we're the only. I mean, well, are you? Are you though? Right.
Great.
Yeah. Right. So Magic has been doing it for a long time. Okay.
Yeah.
And Magic was doing, competitive tabletop card game play, and streaming it before streaming was even a thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's been around. It's just now with the advent of technology, live streaming, and the digital space, it's becoming extremely more prevalent in the card game space.
Yep.
Okay. And again, so within the card game space, typically you're going to see it more from the digital card game side.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I think first off, I think let's get the question and answer out of the way. Is are digital card games played on competitive level? Are those esports?
Are they multiplayer?
No. I mean, I would say yes.
Yeah.
I say yes.
Yeah. I mean, I would. There's no other way I could see
right.
it. It's
Right. I think so.
That means Commander's the only esport.
Yeah. Because it's a multiplayer format. Yeah. Honestly, though, I don't understand. Why would you put the qualifier of multiplayer in that definition? That's so weird to me.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Because there's so many games that are played on a competitive professional level that are single player.
Unless, the only other, Well, unless they're talking about 2-player is technically a multiplayer thing, right? It's not a solo player.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So
That's
we're
true.
just thinking multiplayer to be more than
more than 1v1. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
So if they were saying it's more than a single player game,
okay, that would if that's what they meant, then that would make would make sense.
Okay.
That would make perfect sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So all right, so straight out the gate, yes, these card games played digitally or even not digitally, they're sports or esports. Now, are they sports? Are they sports? I think, but see, honestly, at the end of the day, we know it doesn't matter.
It's not a traditional sport.
Right. It is a sport. It's just a different kind of sport.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've got sports that are played in person, and you're exerting a lot of physical activity, right?
Yeah.
A lot of physical exertion to play these games.
Yeah.
And then with these digital games, you're sitting down at a table, you're sitting down in a chair, sitting on your couch, and you're playing it digitally. So they're just very different. So I think I do like that qualifier, right?
Yeah.
It's just you're playing something competitively, just electronically.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's although physical card games, hand shuffling is a skill. Not everyone can do that. Or if you mess it up, you're gonna drop some cards. Hopefully you don't drop the ball.
I played in a that one modern tournament at AF.
Oh,
okay.
man.
So what a lot of people tend to do when they play in a tournament, right, is they will put new sleeves on their cards.
Yeah.
Okay. It tends to happen a lot. And honestly, when you get your deck checked, the judges might tell you have to do that anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The problem with that is all the cards are now really slick.
Oh yeah.
And so what I tend to do, okay, and a lot of people do this as well. When your opponent shuffles their deck and then they give it to you to cut, sometimes you'll want to shuffle your opponent's deck. Okay, instead of just cutting it, you want to shuffle it too.
Always shuffle it.
Okay, I would agree. Yep. So I did that, and my opponent was playing a Yorion list. So they had an 80 card deck, right? So there's already
used to that.
So I pick up the deck, I start shuffling it, and they slipped and fell. I'm like, oh no, I'm so sorry. Oh no.
Goodness. Oh, dude, it's like the worst thing.
I felt so bad. I felt so bad. But I'm like, I'm not moving. I just want to make sure I get everything picked up. And then I'm just like, you go ahead and you reshuffle, and then I will just cut. Because I'm like, at that point, I'm not picking it up again to shuffle it. I will just make sure I cut it well. I'll try to cut it very well.
There is one thing I've noticed a lot of people do, and Dan definitely does this. When you're shuffling cards, they tend to bring it close to them. And when stuff falls, now it falls to the ground. Where if you're a little further out from yourself, it just falls. It just falls right onto the table. It's definitely one thing that a habit I've gotten into. I have dropped cards onto the floor. It happens to everyone. Sometimes the tables just aren't big enough. There's not enough room. But it happens. And it's if it happens with my own cards, I care less.
Right.
I don't know if I've done it with other people's cards. I'd feel terrible.
Yeah, I felt bad. I felt really bad. Ooh. So, but I'm also the type of person who I double sleeve.
Yeah.
So if stuff like that happens, they fault, I'm not super concerned.
Yeah. Which tends to not really be a problem. But a lot of people don't double sleeve their cards.
Yeah, a lot of people just single sleeve. Especially if you're doing an 80 card deck. If you double sleeve that goes from here to then there.
It's ginormous, dude.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah, it's definitely a lot. So all right. So I think we both, have the same conclusion as yes, these card games, yes, when they're played competitively, they are essentially an esport, right?
Yeah.
So, I think now the interesting part of this discussion, right, comes when we're talking about you don't have to play these games competitively to enjoy them.
Yeah.
Okay, and this kind of is a whole other conversation and topic of finding your why. Why do you do a thing? Why do you play these card games? Do you play
socially?
Do you play to have fun? To play to be social? Okay, like you play Commander just for the social aspect.
Yep, 100%.
Or are you a competitive grinder and like you want to beat every single person you come up against?
Yep.
Okay, it's kind of like the dichotomy of hobbies and happiness. Like why?
Dun, dun.
Like why are you doing? Like why are you playing these games? Like for the sake of the hobby, or like are you doing it for your own happiness? Are you doing it for fun?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's why I love our name. Like it's the H and H. It's two sides of the same coin.
Two sides of the exact same letter.
But like it's interesting. It's interesting, right?
Yeah.
Like if you think about our name, right? And like if you really like, we can really get into the weeds, and that's why I love it so much, because it's like the tabletop gaming space, the card game space. It encompasses so many different types of people and so many different perspectives, so many different tastes, so many different kinds of people, okay? And it makes all of these experiences so much more different for everyone, okay? Like when you sit down, like if you're sitting down at a tournament, okay? Most likely everyone's there for the same reason. They want to win. Not always. There could be people who are there for just the thrill of it, right? Like they enjoy playing in competitive events because, like, if you've ever played in a competitive event, like like there's some adrenaline there, right?
Yeah.
There's some adrenaline, especially the first match. The first match of the day, like there's a lot of emotion there.
Get the jitters.
Yep. I mean,
For me, my hands get cold.
I talked about it before on the show, right? Of when we had that tournament, okay? Like the first match, because that was my first competitive Modern event ever.
Yeah.
Right.
That is brand new to the format.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever played Modern on a competitive level.
Yeah.
Okay, and my first competitive tournament in years, because we hadn't gone out because of COVID, right?
Yep.
And there weren't events happening, right? And so like that first event, I'm like literally shaking a little bit because like it's not like I was scared. It's just I was just like a little nervous because like I'd never done it. I've never played that. I never played that format competitively and I hadn't played in years.
Yeah.
Right. And so like you could be somebody who like you love those feelings.
We tried to prepare as much as we could.
We did. Yeah. we did.
We had a bunch of people over playing.
Yeah. So but generally I would say if you're playing in a competitive event, you're there to win. And like that's your goal, is you want to win.
Yep.
Okay. Now I can't say that 100% because that may not be true, but I would venture to guess like that's a good assessment to make. Okay. Now if you got the boys over, you got friends, and you're sitting down to play a game of Commander, you're just there to have fun, most likely. Okay. Or you're there to screw everyone else over at the table.
Was it Noah?
I don't know. You'd have to ask him.
I think that was his actual plan.
Was that his plan?
Yeah, he's like, I just want to make everyone mad. So.
But again, like all of that like goes back to let's find your why. There's a good book by Simon Sinek called Find Your Why.
I love that guy.
He's just so good. He is phenomenal. And that was a book I remember I listened to that book on Audible, actually. Funny enough, right? But he read that book, and it was so phenomenal. Like from a leadership standpoint, and just from a team standpoint, it's so good, right? Because it helps you define for yourself like what you're like, why are you doing the thing you're doing? Okay, so from a tabletop gaming standpoint, like why do you play? Like why am I playing these card games? Like on fundamentally, like I think we all know, well, because it's fun, like like duh.
Because I know nothing else in life, Dan.
Yeah. And like if you're playing a game, right?
Yeah.
Like if we're talking about games, why do people play games? Well, because they enjoy it, they have fun, right? But when it comes to us doing what we're doing, like it's so much deeper. Like, yes, we have a lot of fun playing these games, but also I love seeing other people that I'm friends with, or maybe I've just met.
Yep.
Okay. I love seeing them have so much fun. Okay.
I think it's the best part in the whole hobby space.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that is why, like, that's a huge reason why we want to get back to having our own local community, having a store so we can provide a space for people to have these experiences, play these games, share these experiences with other people. And that's why when we see a new game, we're like, oh man, I really hope I'm going to, it's like reliving those experiences that you've had with other games. You're like, I'm going to have this again with another game. And now let's get people to share that with.
You keep chasing that high.
Yeah, right.
Maybe that wasn't the right word choice, but
Like,
it
well,
works.
I mean, it does. Like,
It's exactly it.
It is. Like, it's definitely part of it. And I think we would be we'd be disingenuous if we said no.
Yeah.
Like, if we didn't acknowledge that, I think we would be being a little bit disingenuous.
But it's not like we're going out finding these people and be like, you have to play this
right.
game.
Right.
It's the best. And when people don't like it, what do you mean you don't like this game?
Well,
I don't
like
take it personally.
it's interesting too, like, because we talk about Lorcana, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people who are very excited for this, and I've had conversations with people who have expressed the same sentiment of, I've been playing these games for years, and I want to find a new card game. A new card game to get lost in. And just have these experiences again, right? And like it's just one of the great things like about these games.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with card games and sports? You say, right? I mean, I think this.
I think it's kind of hand in hand.
I agree. I agree, because I think that conversation also applies directly to just sports in general. Because why do people play sports? Like, it's the same thing.
It's not just the sport that they're playing or getting involved with. It's the whole community.
Yeah, it's that. But also, like, I remember too with Elder Scrolls Legends. Like, that was a digital card game that I really I sank my teeth into. And I remember sitting down at my desk, right, looking at the screen, and then just saying to myself, all right, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to work. I'm going to work at this game to be good, because it's something that I want to strive to do. I want to strive to be good and improve myself and my skill in this game. Like, that's what sports is.
Yeah.
Like 100%. 100%. Like, I mean, I remember shooting hundreds of free throws. Like, I'd shoot 100 free throws a day to improve my free throw percentage and improve my form, and just to nail down that muscle memory. Okay. Because, like, with basketball, muscle memory is huge. Like, muscle memory is such a big thing, right? Like, show me the difference. Like, what's the difference? Like, they're sports. Like, that's the same type of thing, right? It's the same thing, just applied differently, right? So, like, I'm sorry, like, it's so similar to, yes, these are all a type of sport.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so the great thing about all sports is you can play competitively or you can play and just to have fun.
I think all sports should allow fighting, and then they get put into timeout for 2 minutes. And then they can come back and play after the 2 minutes.
And then
all
fight
sports,
again.
all sports, they should have it. If you guys can't tell, I'm a big fan of hockey, and
that's funny. That's great. All right, so wrapping up the conversation here. Okay, all esports are sports in one way or another. Okay, they're different.
Yeah,
card games can be played as a sport.
Yeah.
They can. They just can. They don't have to. They don't must be. They can. They have that ability to. And I think it's been done very successfully over the past many years. Okay, with the advent of all these digital card games, Arena, Legends of Runeterra,
Hearthstone.
Hearthstone.
Hearthstone's a big one.
It was a huge one. Absolutely.
Pokemon TCG Online.
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah.
And a lot of these games, like Magic and Pokemon, are two big ones. I mean, like especially during COVID, if you wanted to play in a tournament, you had to play it digitally. You had to play it digitally, right?
Yep.
And now with the advent of webcams, you can still play a tournament competitively. Just do it over webcam.
Yep.
Like again,
Yu-Gi-Oh was doing that for a while.
Yeah, they were. I heard that. Yeah. So yeah, they can, and I think they should. Right. I think it's you're doing a disservice to the competitive community if you don't. So yeah, that's all I got. You got. Do you have anything else that you think you'd like to add?
I mean, no, not really. I think I'm ready to move on.
To what do you want to move on to then, Jim?
I think I want to move on to talking about another sport.
Another sport.
One of my favorite sports
Okay.
of all time.
What is that?
The card of the week is actually my favorite card.
I was really wondering where you were going with that.
Yeah, no, just card of the week, and it's one of my favorite card games. So
all right, so tell everybody about one of your favorite card games here.
So this game is called Dungeon Mayhem, and
So much fun.
it's it was made by Wizards of the Coast, Dungeons and Dragons team, and you play as all these little different characters, and each one of them,
They're characters within the Dungeons and Dragons. What would that
Lore.
be called? Lore, essentially.
guess,
I guess. Yeah.
yeah, and they all have a different deck. A lot of the cards are pretty similar, but some of them, or all of them, have completely different abilities in the game.
Each character has different ability, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Each character has different abilities, and then there's also 5 generic abilities, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And so in this game, my favorite one right here is by the person, or I believe her name is Delilah.
Yeah, I believe it's something like that.
Yeah, I believe that's her name. And she is a 8-eyed beholder. And
Beholder.
yes, she's a beholder, and she has an ability called a card called Praise Me. And the ability is each opponent can choose to praise your greatness. Take 2 damage for those who choose not to. And then this card also allows you to draw 3 cards. It's fantastic.
Yep.
So
you do the ability and you draw 3 cards. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like worst case scenario, you just draw 3 cards.
Yep.
Best case scenario, the people you're playing against take 2 damage or any number in between. So if you're playing with 4 other people, that you can deal possibly like 8 damage amongst to everyone. And so yeah, this card has had some really funny stories to it. A long time ago, we talked about this game, and when my aunt was in town, and I played this card against them, and my aunt starts dying laughing. So my aunt is this is the mom of my cousin Rabbit, a guy I've known my entire life, I guess you could say. And she starts laughing, and she's like, you know what? If Rabbit was here, he wouldn't praise you. So I refuse to give you praise. So everyone else at the table starts laughing. She takes her 2 damage, and it was so worth it. And then after everyone else did the praising or took damage, she was like, "You know, I love you, kid." She's just like, at that moment, I refused to do it because it was funny.
Yep.
So
I would refuse to as well.
yeah, I love this card. When you're playing in a 1v1 situation, I don't really care about it. But when you're playing with 7 other people, it is huge. Either you start to feel good or everyone takes damage.
Well, it's again, we were talking about it. It's a social. It's a social aspect.
Yeah.
And that is like a perfect card that like embodies just
gets everyone
getting
talking.
everyone involved and gets everyone having a good time. Like it's much less about the skill, right? And oh man, look at what this card did. It's just so great. No, it's just
it won me the game.
Yeah, right. It gets everyone involved, and you have a great time. And like I love it when cards do that, right? I love it when cards are not like a lightning bolt. Right. And it's just, I'm dealing 3 damage, right? Which can be huge, it can be like a big game thing, but it's just a card that just gets the table involved and gets everyone having a good time.
Yeah. I even have evolved this card into two people can't say the same thing to you.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, oh, I like your beard, and then the next person's like, oh, I like your beard too. It's like, no.
It needs to be distinct.
It has to be different.
Yeah.
And we even, I even started to getting like a voting thing going to where it's like, guys, was that really a compliment? Was it really? And so people are like, no, they
here
don't take too damage.
everyone here that's outside the game, you need to vote. Okay.
Oh, even everyone in the game. I was just like, everyone's voting.
Right,
like, I don't
right.
think that was really a compliment.
Right. Yeah.
So then if everyone's like, no, it wasn't, they have
Survey
to take it
says.
Yeah. And so I've evolved this card, and it's one of my favorites in the entire game. And I love this game. It's probably, I think I've said it's probably my favorite game. That is like, not of other card games.
Yeah, that's not like a strategy card game. Yeah. That's like a party game essentially.
Yeah, party game, 100%. It's my favorite card game or favorite game.
Yeah. So that is a card of the week from Dungeon Mayhem. Now, I don't know if you knew this, but they actually do have a Marvel version now.
Dungeon Mayhem Marvel?
It's not called Dungeon Mayhem. I actually believe it's called Marvel Mayhem. Actually,
oh my goodness.
I
didn't even know this was a thing.
I saw it. I saw it on Amazon. And let me actually double check real quick just to see if it's actually still a thing. Yeah, it's called Marvel Mayhem. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. It's got 4 characters in this. I believe you have
a new base set.
Yeah, I believe so.
Wow, it is.
Yeah.
Captain Marvel, Scarlet Witch, Black Panther, Iron Man.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's on Amazon right now for like $17.50.
Is it out?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, it's out. Yeah.
I didn't even know.
So I'm wondering if they'll make an expansion for it like they did with Dungeon Mayhem.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm sure they would.
They probably would. Yeah. But again, it's probably like just a reskin essentially.
I kind of hope it's like the same thing, give them different abilities and whatnot, so that way you can like play all of these together.
Oh, I don't know if you'll be able. I don't know. Maybe.
So that's why I'm kind of hoping it's like, oh yeah, you still got the deal damage, draw cards, the same of like you draw the same number of cards, starting hands the same, HP the same.
I believe so because it's 10 HP.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
Yep. Yeah.
So that's probably the same thing, and we get to play them all together. And as of right now, we have 12 characters.
I believe so.
I think 12 characters. So then this 4 throws it to 16, and you can have a 16-person party game.
That would be. No, I don't know about
that. I've done 9. That was really enjoyable. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it really fun?
It was fun. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. People didn't like go crazy and be like, oh, we're just gonna try and say I started right. They wouldn't be like, all right, let's instantly all kill Dan before he even gets a chance to play. It wasn't really like that. It was just people building up, trying to just having fun. No one was taking it very serious.
We should do that too. We should do that too.
What?
Just gang up on them before they even get the chance to even play. No, Michael.
Oh, Michael. Oh, man, that'd be messed up, dude. Hopefully he's not listening.
No, I'm kidding. I am kidding. All I know is... all I know is if he lost, he would say something like that.
We'll give you a reason to say that, Michael. We'll really team up on you.
And Michael, the only reason I'm saying that is I was going through some old content where we were just having a good time.
Yeah,
we were messing around having a good time. Yeah. So, all right. Well, that was this week's card of the week from a great game.
Delilah,
you know what, Jim? Where can we find you on the internet?
Oh man, you guys can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. At Jim Morgan, HNH. You
guys can find me on Instagram at Daniel.g.campbell and on Twitter at _DG Campbell. If you head over to our website, www.hobbiesandhappiness.com, you can find links to all of our social content and platforms there. Find links to our YouTube, pretty much everything you can find on our website, hobbiesandhappiness.com. You know what? Thanks, everybody, for being here. This was a fun conversation, a fun, different type of conversation a little bit. But again, definitely something that, especially in the card game space, like it's something that's I feel like is always going to be there, and you're never really going to be able to escape from.
Yeah.
Okay. And like for better or for worse, I think for good, right? Because I see stuff like this just as a good thing, especially for the health of these games too. Yeah. Because I think you need competition, competitive play for these games to grow, and that kind of is a And that's like another topic for another day. So, all right. Thanks everybody for being here. We'll catch you in the next episode. See you, everybody.
Take care.